when Malcolm made the statement of the chickens coming home to roost and was punished by Mr. Muhammad for that statement, Malcolm felt that this was one more blow and the final blow of a jealous teacher to get the student out of the way. I'm representing now his feelings. Malcolm was a kind of a brother that he was brave and fearless, and at the same time, if he had felt that you tricked him or you duped him or you took his faith and his love and you did him in with it, Malcolm was not the kind of brother that he wouldn't fight back. Brothers and sisters, when Malcolm made that statement of the chickens coming home to roost and was set down, I was the one that was sent to New York to teach in Malcolm's place. And as I began to teach in Malcolm's place that night, he took me home to his house. We had dinner together. His wife, Betty, was serving the dinner. And Malcolm began to run down the Honorable Elijah Muhammad with respect to Mr. Muhammad's morals. That he was not the moral man that I thought he was, but that he was something else. And after telling me these things, he asked me, well, Brother Lewis, what do you think? I didn't know what to say. I just said, I think there's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. And I asked to be excused, and he took me back to LaGuardia. And I flew up to Boston, and I was totally destroyed. Never will forget that night. My wife was laying in the bed sleep, and I looked at her, and I said, gee, she's real lucky she can sleep tonight. And I felt like I was losing my mind, because I believed in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I believed in him as a messenger of God, and I believed in his sinlessness. And this was something that I wasn't prepared for. I didn't know how to handle it. So I prayed and asked God to let me sleep. And I did fall asleep. The next day I went into my little office and I began to read the Holy Quran. And I said, well, if this is so, it must be in the book. And I opened this book, the Quran, to the 33rd chapter, which begins to talk about the wives of Prophet Muhammad. And as I read that, I said, well, this is it. I got a call the next morning, about 5 in the morning. It was Malcolm. He said, Brother Lewis, he said, if you're going to tell the messenger what I told you, he said, I wish you would give me some time and I'll compose a letter and explain to him why I told you. And I said, well, brother, it's going to take me some time to get my head together. I said, so if in that time you can get your letter off, you do so. In the meantime, I found this in the Quran, took my last $24. I had $30, really, but it was $14 back and forth, one way to New York at the time. And I went and saw Malcolm and showed him what I had found in the Holy Quran. And he said he knew that. So I said, well, that's fine. And if you know, then we can defend the messenger. But Malcolm was angry. And when Malcolm decided to leave, then the internal attacks on Malcolm began. And I was one of those who wrote articles disparaging of Malcolm. Because I couldn't understand why he would leave his teacher if what is there could be defended. It's written in the book. Why are we running from it? I couldn't understand. So my last conversation with Malcolm was in that car that you have right outside here tonight, 1963 Oldsmobile. in front of his home in New York, which later became my home. I sat in that car with him. And Malcolm said to me, and I'm quoting him now perfectly, he said, "Brother Lewis, one day my enemies are going to be your enemies." And he said to me, as God is my witness, he said, "I wish it was you being an example for me rather than me being an example for you." I didn't know what he meant. But Malcolm always had a sense of history. Malcolm knew that he was going to be assassinated. He never was a man that would sit with his back to the door. He always faced the door. Malcolm was extremely alert. If you ever drove with Malcolm or walked with Malcolm, he always had his eyes going. He never got so engrossed in a conversation that he didn't look around. And we would be driving together and say, "Did you see that man with the gray hat and the Chevy that pulled out as we pulled out?" I ain't seen nothing. I mean, I wasn't expecting nothing. But Malcolm always knew that he would be murdered, and he knew that he would be killed by his own kind. And he told this to me about at least 7 years before it actually happened. Now I'm coming to the conclusion. We broke, as you know, and Malcolm went his way, and I went on with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, condemning Malcolm, disliking Malcolm, even hating Malcolm, because I never understood why Malcolm turned against his teacher or all the factors that's involved. And that's the way it is with children. You don't understand what brings a divorce between your parents. You have to mature to understand those things. But somehow in the divorce, we get all tore up. And the nation was torn asunder in that divorce, and so were black people all over the country. They loved to see Malcolm and his teacher together, and now they were split. Okay. Here we're coming to the time of Malcolm's assassination. Malcolm, being under attack by the nation, Malcolm struck back. He struck back at the man that he believed was the author of all his trouble, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he began to talk about these quote-unquote illicit or immoral affairs of his teaching. This inflamed the Muslims. It made every Muslim a potential murderer of Malcolm. Once the atmosphere was like that, all was needed was a match. Now, one thing the messenger always taught us about the white man: he will throw the stone, hide his hand, and act as though he did nothing. He will get brothers and sisters to fighting and kill each other, and then he'll say, "Look at them. You see, they hate each other." But he will not ever tell you the wickedness that he involved himself in. Now, Muslims may have killed Malcolm. This is true. But the Muslims that are spending 26 years to life in prison did not do anything to Malcolm X. But it was expedient for the government in the counterintelligence program to cement the fact that Muslims murdered Malcolm so that the lovers of Malcolm would come against the lovers of Elijah Muhammad, and the devil would get rid of two people that they didn't care nothing about, and let's get on with business as usual. Now hold on, brothers and sisters, the counterintelligence files, if you are able to get some of these files, they're very interesting. Because now the Chicago office of the FBI admits that they engineered the split and fed the atmosphere to make it incendiary. Was it an accident, brothers and sisters, that Malcolm, who searched everybody coming into the ballroom on the day he was assassinated, nobody got searched? How did that happen? Who on the inside gave that order? I ask you, brothers and sisters, if there was a threat on Malcolm's life, where were the uniformed police? None were around the ballroom. None were supposedly in the ballroom. When the actual shooting took place, 2 men were caught. Only one came to trial. Next afternoon, the second man was out of the newspaper account. And one of the men that was giving mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to Malcolm was an FBI agent. Oh, yes, this is a wicked damn government we live in. How dare you say that America has changed? This brutal beast has not changed. She is ready now to devour a whole nation of people. Do you think it's an accident that 25 years ago cancer was a white man's disease, and now we have twice the cancer rate that the Caucasians have? That ain't no accident, brother and sister. Malcolm was gunned down in the Audubon Ballroom, as you know. Muslims may have been responsible for that, it's true. But I do not believe that any Muslim could have done that without the aid and complicity of the United States government and the New York Police Department. Why do you say that, Farrakhan? Because you can't get together in your bedroom and plan nothing against this white man that you don't find out about it. And as that scripture says, where there are 2 or 3 of you gathered together in my name, there I am also in the midst of you. That's for God and that's for the devil too. He's always present when you plan it. I believe he knew what the plans were, and I believe he aided and made sure that those plans were carried out so that 2 birds could be killed with 1 stone. And now Malcolm is gone. And the hatred began to build. Malcolm's autobiography became required reading. Not because of Malcolm, but because of the last chapter of that book. Brother and sister, because Elijah Muhammad was yet alive, his star student was gone. Now I conclude. Little did I know what was in store for me. A man that came into Islam not because I wanted money. I was a musician, a brilliant musician, if I may say so myself. I was no lightweight. I was an artist. I had a beautiful career ahead of me in music. I came to Islam because I found in Elijah Muhammad a man that believed in the rise of the black man, was working for the rise of black people. I didn't come for religion, because I have always been religious. And I know that religion don't mean a damn if it's religion for religion's sake. Religion is only valid if it is working for the uplift and the freedom of a people. Other than that, to hell with religion. Hear me now. Hear me now. Hear me. I'm saying to Muslims, pray is good, but sit down on your behind after you pray. That prayer is no good. Because there's got to be an action that comes behind prayer to cement the validity of your crying out to God. If you pray and don't work, then the prayer means nothing. And if it's just religion to make us holy, but not to make us free, I don't want to be no damn holy slave. I want to be a holy free man. And therefore, if religion don't make me kill my oppressor, if he won't get the hell out the way of my freedom, if religion won't sanctify me in the holy effort of fighting like hell with every ounce of power that I have for my liberation, then goddamn religion. I know that the prophets of God were liberators. And I know that they fought for the freedom of their people. So true religion is always on the side of the oppressed against the oppressor. I'm finished. I became the national spokesman for Elijah Muhammad. Went right up into Malcolm's place. I didn't want Malcolm's place. I loved him. And I wanted for him what was his, and I wanted to aid him in any way I could to maintain what was his. And here was I in Malcolm's house. Here was I over Malcolm's temple, or the temple that Malcolm was over. Here was I in the city that honored Malcolm, New York. And then my troubles began. Because the same jealousy that twisted and hurt Malcolm was now directed at Brother Farrakhan. The more I became popular, the more intense was the envy and the vicious talk about this brother among my peers. There wasn't a city that I went into that I didn't hear what my brothers were saying against me, about me, while I worked 18 hours a day for the cause of Islam and denied my wife and my children a father for a cause that I believe in. And so Malcolm's enemies did become mine. But here's where Brother Farrakhan made a mistake. I succumbed to a seed. And I, too, began to foolishly think, and I wonder, is my teacher jealous of me? Why are you saying this, Farrakhan? They say confession is good for the soul. But you see, when you tell the truth, you help somebody else to see truth, even if the truth is against yourself. I loved my leader and teacher, but I had a weak thought that came because my leader was so far-seeing. He looked at me one day at the table when everybody was praising Farrakhan. He hit the table and said, yes, he's very well known, all right, so that when he turns hypocrite on me, the whole world will see him. Hit me like a, what is this? What did he say this for? But he saw way down the line, even as Jesus saw Peter, boy. He knew I was going to deny him. He saw it, and he prayed for me. And he told me that I would return only because his prayers were found worthy in the sight of Allah. I'm finished now. Up to 2 months before he left us, around the table were all of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's major ministers. And it was brought up because Elijah Muhammad said, and it was well known in the nation, that one would rise that would make Malcolm's opposition to the messenger look like child's play. And everybody was focusing on me. And I was catching hell from one end of this country to another, but I never paid it no attention. When people spoke evil of me, I doubled the good that I would do. And the messenger said to me one day, he said, brother, they speak awful things about you, brother, but you something like myself. You don't pay no attention to it. You keep on doing good. Finally, I began to break. And I decided I would come to Chicago and gather all the national laborers around and have it out. You see the Muhammad Speak newspaper? When Malcolm was doing great things for the nation, the New York Times would report it, the Chicago Tribune would report it, but the paper, his own paper, his national newspaper, wouldn't have nothing to say about it. I began to see the same pattern develop with me. I said, oh man, what is this? And you can see how a seed is developing. So now I get ready to fight at the messenger's table. I never will forget it. All the national labors around, I'm bringing it up about envy and jealousy and how it destroys from within. And the messenger knew what I was getting ready to get into. He hit the table with his hand, boom, and said, brother, speak refuge in Allah from the envier when he envies, and he got up and he walked out of the room. Blew my whole thing. I was ready to fight. He took the fight out of me. Then, 5 minutes later, he came back, and these are the words that he said. He said, brother, when you're getting ready to put a piece of board in the corner of the building to uphold the weight of the building, you have to put stress on it. And if it weakens under that stress, you know it's not the board you were looking for, so you throw it away and you get another. I didn't understand what he meant until approximately 1 year ago. Now I've walked in Malcolm's shoes. You don't have to tell me no more about where his feet went. I walked there now. Because when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad left here in 1975, I knew what he had said concerning Farrakhan and the role I was to play. But I could not play games with the destiny of a nation because I didn't know what the next step was. So when Imam Wallace D. Muhammad said he knew what the next step was, what was there for me to do but to submit and follow? And God is my judge. That's exactly what I did. I followed, and I tried to walk behind this. But the more I walked behind it, I saw I couldn't build a bridge between the Father and the Son because they were going in opposite directions. So I had to make a decision. Which one shall I follow? Shall I follow the Father or shall I follow the Son? And I can't be no damn hypocrite to nobody. What I believe is what I believe. And I believe Elijah Muhammad was and is the messenger of God, not an impostor. I believe that he met with God. And I believe that what he taught is directly from God. So I made my decision to walk with the Father. And those that say it's a power play between Farrakhan and Muhammad, that's a lie. Don't use me as a scapegoat. The problem is between a son and his father. That's where the problem is. And I choose to take the father's position because that's a tried and tested position over 44 years, and I won't back down from that. I will die on that position because I know that position is correct and will bring the liberation of our people. So now, I was face to face with Malcolm's history. What do? Shall I split the ranks of the Muslims? I know you're tired, sister. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep you so long. I know you all are tired. I know you're tired, but I may never get a chance to see you again. I don't know when we'll meet again. But you know how you boogie at the disco all night long? I understand. You know how you freaky deep all night long? You know how you drink and party and get funky all night long? Well, damn it, stay here with me a few more minutes and let's get our heads together. I'm not going to take no more time, but I want you to know I am alive today because Malcolm died that I might live. I understand history a little bit better now. He walked into something. The poor man, after he left the nation, he was not permitted to get to himself and to be quiet and to think and reflect. People were always on him. He was always in the press trying to develop his new idea, his new direction. He needed to go away, be quiet, think, reflect, and revive himself. Because when your faith is shaken in a man that was the central figure of your life, then all that man's teaching don't make sense no more. Then you're confused. You got to get out of the light for a while and find yourself. And I wouldn't know how that felt until it happened to me, and I became so confused. I didn't know whether what I was saying for 20 years was right or wrong. I walked the streets wondering, have I lied to people? Have I deceived people? Is this right or is this wrong? And finally, in the darkness, Allah brought me back to my senses. And I decided that I would stand for the messenger. But now that is his son. Whether he agrees with his father or not, that's between God, the Son, and the Father. That's the Father's blood running in the Son's veins. Should I misuse my mouth and cause any harm to someone in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's family? I can't do that. Because if I love the Father, even if I disagree with the Son, I don't want to see no harm come to the Son. You understand? So I withdrew from the public. You don't hear me on no radio. You don't see me on no television. If you hear me on the radio, it's a controlled speech. I don't take interviews. I don't want no television camera. People magazine wanted to do a story. I said, go get some other people. New York Times wanted to do a feature article on Farrakhan. I said, no, thank you. Because I have grown up now. My father has taught me well. I don't need that crap. I don't need to be seen of men. I need to just get on with the work of my father, the work of building up a nation for the black man. Listen here, brother and sister. I will not go on no radio. No black reporter has been able to interview me. No white one, certainly, and no black one, never. Not until the storm is over. Why won't you come on? Because I know you. I know how you've been trained. All you want is conflict, controversy, bloodshed, war. That's what Western news is built on, disaster. I will not add to your desire to seek filth and put black man against black man. I won't do that. And so no matter what my Muslim brothers say against me, and they say much, I keep my mouth shut. And I will let you talk on until you talk your damn self out. And I will be here to remind you of what you said. I want you to know that you're not going to get rid of this. You can try all you want to. By the help of God, I will be here when the dust is cleared. Yes, it's always inshallah. And I believe that Allah will protect me as he protected my teacher before me, and I have that assurance from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said, in fact, 2 of us is backing you up, brother. So I'm saying to you, my beloved brothers and sisters, I hear that foul talk following me all over the country. He's a hypocrite. He's only in this for money. You think I'm crazy? I could do a lot of things for money. I don't have to do this. Put my life on the line for money. Don't the scripture tell you that all that a man has will he give for his life? I want to live as much as any other man. But I want to see the black man live, and his life is more important than my life and your individual life and millions of lives. If it's necessary, we will have millions to carry on. So, my beloved brothers and sisters, there can be a harmony here. There can be a bridge built here. That as we move toward the 1980s, I salute Malcolm for the great work that he did. I salute him for the care that he took of me and the love that he showed me in teaching me and helping me. I don't know why history works this way, but if he had to be an example for me, I know that I could have never had this experience if Malcolm hadn't walked in front of me and showed me the way that I should go in order to escape what he ran into. So I'm alive now by God's grace, and I shall not forget those who taught me and shaped me, formed me and developed me. And now I'm going on with this work. Malcolm was not moved by a ritual in Mecca to make him think that white folks in this sociological setting were changed. And ain't none of us that made the pilgrimage to Mecca who saw black, brown, red, yellow, and white for 14 days live like brothers, none of us can be deceived, because after the ritual is over, everybody goes back to their nation and their customs. And I'm telling you, a nigger ain't nothing nowhere in the world, not in Mecca, not in Jerusalem, no holy city. And when I saw that with my eyes, felt it, said, I'm coming on home, and we're going to stop all this divisive, foolish talk. And we're going to lock hands and put our brains in front of us. Let our brains go to the head and direct our hands. But we got to stop begging and stop marching. Don't organize black people to march. Organize them to build. And we can make it through the 1980s. Oh, black man, if you think that white folks are your friends, then wait. Because he's going to put something on you and me in the next few years that he's going to make every one of you call for his destruction. He's going to make you pray for it. Because he don't love you. He's tired of you, brother and sister. He has no more work for you to do, no place for you to go. He hates your babies. Because now your babies are twice as many as his. And he sees now that the birth control pill ain't stopping our reproduction. So now that man is angry, brother, because 10 years from now he sees that the war machine and the working machine will be predominantly black. And all white folks will be getting older and older because their birth rate is getting weaker and weaker. And you will be in a position to take over if you're strong. And so he don't intend for you to reach that era. So he's feeding you them reapers. And he's dusting them reapers with PCP. He's killing you night and day. Do you hear me, brother and sister? That man is killing you and you don't even know you died. You just as dead as hell. You can't build. You can't think. This is all you want to do, huh? This is you. Head full of nothing and you're behind swing. Baby, get down. Come on, baby, get down. Come on, baby, get down. Hell no. Come on, baby, get up. You've been down all the days of your life. Get up. Don't you go in no damn disco with that disorienting music telling you let's freak you deep. Programming you to accept freakish behavior when 20 years ago a faggot had to hide when he come among us. Now the faggot can just walk. You've been programmed into damn orgies, wife swapping, degenerate behavior, ripping off your own daughters. Look at your condition and tell me, don't we need somebody that will talk to us? I don't mean stroke us and rub our behind. I mean kick it if it's necessary. Now I'm saying to you as I leave you, brother and sister, I'm not playing in what I'm doing. Look at me, listen to me. That's what you came here tonight for. Weigh me out. I'm not playing in what I'm doing. I come to give my life for this cause. And I will take life if it's necessary. I want you to know that I will never rip you off, but don't close your eyes. I'm accountable to God, and I'm accountable to you. And until you learn to make your leaders accountable, Until you learn to make your professors accountable. Until you learn to make your teachers accountable. And if they mess up, then you've got to deal with it. And let me tell you something. When everybody knows that they will pay a price and the price is death, then ain't nobody going to play with you no more. There ain't no leader going to bullshit you no more. Use that language. But when he knows that death is the answer and you must answer, then he'll be all right. He'll teach for you and not for the white man. He'll lead for you and not for the white man. And when you send him to Washington, he'll come back doing your will. But I want to warn you, what's good for the goose is also going to be good for the gander. Because we're not going to tolerate you making whores out of our women. We're not going to tolerate no pimping, brother. You've got to find you another gig. You're not going to hustle this black woman no more. And if you can take 13 whores and put them on the block, we're going to get a supermarket and run these Arabs that are selling more pork and more whiskey to our people out of our damn community, and we'll put you in the supermarket. And if you can make 13 whores jingle some money for you, then you can make them 13 cash registers jingle for us. And if you won't work, then you're in trouble. I like Ayatollah Khomeini. I like what he's doing. You steal, you may lose your hand. When you lose that hand, when you see you walking with a nut, everybody know what you've been into. And you won't get into that no more. So brothers and sisters, this is an age of accountability. I'm leaving you now. All these young people, they're not like us. Our generation was faith and hope. Their generation is a generation of fulfillment. They're going to get what we wanted because they're willing to pay the price and make the sacrifice. And you and I must be there with us. We must do in this generation so that these little babies that were in here crying tonight won't have to take the burden on their shoulders. Let us shoulder our responsibility. Let us learn to love each other. Let us learn to be kind and forbearing and forgiving to one another. We've done it with white folks. Now let's do it for one another. Let me tell you, brother, if you and I would practice half the love for one another that we have given to the white man, we'd have enough love to go all the way to heaven and then come back and go back again. So brothers and sisters, I thank you for listening. I thank this committee who honored Malcolm X for inviting me, a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, to share this night of honor with him and with you. I hope you heard what I said, took it in the spirit in which I offered it. And I pray, God, that we don't make the mistake in the 80s that we made in the 60s to produce the disaster of destruction of our own spirit. May God bless you and keep you and guide you and protect you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Hold your seats, please. Hold your seats. Please take your seats, please. We have a couple announcements.